An economist, syndicated columnist, and best-selling author, Thomas Sowell is a fellow at the Hoover Institution. Over the course of his long and storied career, Dr. Sowell has taught economics at institutions including Cornell, Amherst, and UCLA. Dr. Sowell's latest book, a revised and updated version of his classic volume, Basic Economics. Here is the first edition of Basic Economics, and here is the new edition showing that Tom Sowell never rests. To quote from Basic Economics, through its various editions, the fundamental idea behind Basic Economics remains the same. Learning economics should be as uncomplicated as it is informative, close quote. Welcome, Tom. No charts, no equations, all words, plain English.
That's right, no graphs.
No graphs, no graphs, all right. Well, would you help me to uncomplicate a few things today?
All right.
All right. Segment 1, the present crisis. Now, I posted notices several places that I'd be interviewing you and asked folks for questions and got overwhelmed with questions. I can only offer a few, but here are some. From Ken Sweeney of Ricochet. This is the basic of the basics. How is wealth created? And why does the United States have the highest per capita GDP of any major country?
Wow. Well, how many years do I have to answer this question?
It's television. You've got about 90 seconds at the most.
Oh, I guess wealth is created when the circumstances are such that people who know how to create it are free to do so. One of the things that pains me in the current crisis is people saying that Congress really needs to do something to make the economy recover. No, they need to let the economy recover. That the economy did not get to be the biggest in the world by politicians doing things. All the millions of other people whose names we don't even know, those are the people who made it the biggest economy in the world. And if politicians will get out of their way, we can and let the economy recover, it can do that.
My sciatica! Howdy-ho, what's crack-a-lackin', everybody? And this is the video where I lose like a third of my subscribers, if not more. This is Government Simulator, of course, as you can see by the title. And of course, as you also see by the title, we're going to try to do a libertarian thing. Now, I saw somebody else play this, and what happened is they just basically went like full socialist, and then they just became a dictator, and which unfortunately sometimes that's exactly what happens in socialist societies. So I said, well, concurrently, what if I did it trying to do libertarian? Now, judging by the reviews, it looks like that this is just not possible at this juncture with this game. What we have in America is a three-tier system: a local government, a state government, and a federal government. And so let me explain libertarian real easy. Thomas Sowell explained a little bit in the beginning there, and I'll have, when I do these episodes, I'll have various Thomas Sowell, maybe Milton Friedman quotes about free market capitalism, showing that greedy owners of businesses, of big businesses, are the only ones that could kind of keep the other greedy business owners in capitalism in check, because they're smarter, they have the same resources, and they want the same thing. They want a cut of that pie. So therefore, nobody gets exactly that big unless they find something totally world-altering, like Henry Ford and the automobile, something like that. But even then, over time, his power becomes diminished because competitors could come in a free market system and take what he's gotten and improve on it, right? So, and the libertarian, right now America has a big federal government, which is not very good, which isn't a good thing. And then we have big state governments in some states. New York, California, the ones with very heavy debt and the ones that get subsidized by the federal government. And if they didn't get subsidized by the federal government, you'd see a total switch in their economies. And then local government, which again, in New York, now I'm in New York, and in California, the local governments are almost non-existent. It's sort of like a tutorial for politics. You get in there, you you bang the drum to whatever party affiliation, and there's very little difference between the Republican and Democrat Party, to tell you the truth, as much as you hear this right and left side clashing. Really, when it comes up to that's usually the local, the middling people like us. They're the ones that fight because it's a good distraction. It's bread and circuses to have people fighting with their families and alienating their families over the last presidential election, Clinton versus Trump. Really, a president for a very long time don't have a lot of power. Even with executive orders, there's not a lot of power. And we have something, the 10th Amendment, that states can say, nope, that's unconstitutional, or something we don't want to do. We don't want to adhere to that, and they can do so. Anyways, the Libertarian platform is the opposite of what America is, and it was America for 150 years. It's a big local government because it's for two reasons. It's accountable, and it's easily changed. Okay, so accountable where if you have corruption or anything of that nature, these are your neighbors, somebody within walking distance, somebody that you can actually get the corruption information on readily. And anybody can run for local government with 300 signatures and not a big budget. It's in New York and California, maybe Illinois, those states, it's probably not possible anymore. But still, a lot of states in this country, you could still just have $500 in your pocket and run a very good campaign and get elected to office in America in a local government. State government, again, like I told you, they have the 10th Amendment right, so they can push back against federal guidelines. Some things that they're allowed to do, some things that are not. For now, healthcare, something they could push back against federal government, and anything that the President Donald Trump here now says, they can push back and make their own. They can do that. A lot of them don't, just like the opposing party didn't do with Barack Obama, because it is a political talking point and a ploy. It's easier to blame the president, Obama or Trump, depending on what side you are, than it is to actually fix the problem. See how that goes? That's how our government kind of works now. And also, they can also say no without any due process, apparently, for something like immigration law, which they shouldn't be allowed to do. That is a federal government mandate. Okay, saying that, we have the states. That's what libertarians think the states can do. Now, the federal government is supposed to be very small. It's supposed to deal with the defense, infrastructure, and the common good. Now, depending on your point of view what the common good is, some people say the internet. I don't believe that's the case. Libertarians don't believe that's the case, especially those older, like myself, who saw the internet come into fruition and rise without when government didn't know what it was. When government doesn't know what something is, a technology, it's wonderful. It is a wonderful thing, because just like Thomas Sowell said in the beginning, wealth is created when government doesn't intrude, and the people who know how to create wealth are free to do so. Elon Musk is a current example in America today. All right, so saying that, that's how I'm going to try to play this. The review stated, that this game rewards socialism. We'll see if that's true or not. Okay, Abraham Lincoln, the philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next. If anybody's aware of what goes on in our college campuses currently, especially against free speech, which I'm all for free speech, because even if people are Nazis, which isn't the case, everybody's deemed a Nazi. That isn't the far left at colleges nowadays. I would be deemed a Nazi, even though I'm really in the center. Social issues I'm all for, but I also think you have to have some kind of financial checks and balances. You can't pay for everything. That's why in economics it's called scarcity, right? Because nobody can have it all. So that's how I fall. But I would be deemed a Nazi because I would let a Nazi speak. Why? Because when you hear a Nazi speak, their arguments are paper thin. It's a house of cards. It's just hate. And hate speech. That's what they say nowadays in college campuses in America and Canada. Hate speech. Everything's hate speech that doesn't adhere to this far left principle, this progressive principle. And that's not the case at all. You know, hate speech, the best way to kill hate speech, if a thing exists, if it's offshoot from free speech, is to let it be heard, right? Because people aren't that violent and stupid by nature. All right. Anyways, so that's it. So here's the game. This is a game, the data for each country is based on real world values, but I wonder, because I heard America is crime-ridden, which isn't really the case, except for, again, these states. Especially in states with strict gun control laws, because then the black market is allowed to sell guns. Everything in America, if you ban it or you dissuade it or say that it's evil by nature, you're going to have a black market. It's supply and demand. That's America differentiates from a lot of countries in the world in that respect. And also, criminals know that gun-free zones and places with strict gun laws are going to have people who can't defend themselves. It's nature. The lion doesn't go after the alpha male wildebeest. He goes after the freshly born baby wildebeest, you know, or the old and sick. Anyways, but of course each country works a bit differently, very complex systems. Oh, try to be politically neutral. Again, we'll see if that's politically neutral. Very complex system tiers like local, state, federal government, so the game needs to generalize, simplify, and merge at certain places. Well, okay. We'll see how that goes. I did look it up, and it does. It does play soft and loose with... It does play soft and loose with merging those things. Again, that's why I don't think this libertarian thing's going to go far. So I don't know why I'm doing this. Maybe it's... Maybe I want to piss people off. I don't know. Maybe I just want to sit here and go, hey, you know, the way the culture is swinging in America is exactly the opposite of how we were founded and excelled for 150 years. You know, even Abraham Lincoln in the beginning there, he's generally regarded as the #1 president because everyone said he frees slaves. He didn't care if slaves were freed. He said it in his own memoirs and speeches that it was about keeping the Union together because the only thing that can break America is from within. And you see it nowadays in the news cycle, that we're very divided. We're becoming now segregated again, except black Americans are the ones wishing to be segregated, which doesn't make any logical, reasonable sense to me. But that's how things are swinging on colleges' campuses. Anyways, get my thought back. So even Abraham Lincoln, he set a precedent. One dangerous precedent. And that was every president before him had the Constitution as an ironclad contract. Right? It wasn't liquid. It wasn't, what do they say? They call it something else where you can decipher it however you want. No. They knew exactly what was in the Constitution. They knew exactly if it didn't adhere to what the Constitution said, it was a state's right. Okay? Now, the Civil War did change that because you can see what happened when states wanted to secede. But it was also Abraham Lincoln. He enacted habeas corpus, so he jailed journalists, citing it was because of the war. And he created West Virginia, something a president is not allowed to do. He created West Virginia to get that balance between free states and slave states. I'm doing little ums here because I'm trying to think. Okay, so that precedent was followed. Teddy Roosevelt did that, but and there's good and bad things. Teddy Roosevelt did a good thing. He set a precedent for the national park system. I am an environmentalist. You'll see that in this game. So hopefully, before you hit that unsubscribe button, before I go off on tangents on other things that you disagree with, just keep in mind that I really do love the environment. I do love animal, wildlife, the ecology. I do like renewable resources. I just don't think it should be forced at the hand of a loaded gun from the government. Now, saying that, he set up the national park system. The guy after him, Woodrow Wilson. And this is how America works. You have someone like Teddy Roosevelt, most masculine guy ever. You know, website. He became a meme in the early 2000s simply because he was a badass, kept Wolverines there. Such a great masculine guy. overcame a lot of adversity and those types of things. And then you went to Woodrow Wilson, which was the opposite kind of guy. Very milquetoast, Princeton professor, academic, that type of thing. And he set very dangerous precedents that exist to this day and hinder us as a society. He created the Federal Reserve, which was owned by shadow globalist people and the big corporations at that time, who only became bigger. Like in the 40s, there was something called U.S. Steel. It's as good as U.S. Steel, because U.S. Steel was a monopoly. Why? Because they were part of that reserve, the Federal Reserve. He also enacted the income tax, which is theft. That's what it is. That's how libertarians cite an income tax. You work and then automatically 30%. Now, a lot of my European viewers will sit there and go, "Oh, how dare you?" Well, yes, how dare I? But how dare the government steal most of my money and then give just a small percentage back to the needy, and then take the moral high ground in saying that they are the good people in the world? Where did the rest of my money go? Right? You're not taking my 30% and then giving 30% to the poor. Government's taking a big chunk. It's almost like Patreon's new rules. so you have that. Anyways, Woodrow Wilson did that, and he also tried to make this a very globalist nation with founding the League of Nations, and he got involved in World War I, which we did not need to get involved in. Doing so brought around the rise of one of the worst villains we've ever had, Adolf Hitler. So Woodrow Wilson. So when someone says Donald Trump's the worst president of all time, nah, he's an egotistical jackass. But he's not the worst president. You look at the stock market, look at business. He's doing well in his key areas. He's also doing well in foreign policy when it comes to trade. Okay, so that's good. And he's also, I like what he's doing in North Korea. And not to say that Barack Obama and Clinton and Bushes and Reagan did anything wrong by trying to cater and trying to negotiate with North Korea. But you've seen ever since, it doesn't work. So why not do what Donald Trump's doing and say, listen, I'm sick of this crap. You've pushed around the other presidents. We've tried to be nice. No more nice guy. I get it. I welcome that with open arms. That's good for North Korea. And he's going into China saying, hey, North Korea is not doing you any favors. So I like those things. His tweeting and some other issues that he has, no, not so great. You know, I've never been 100% behind any president or politician. If you are, you need to seek medical help. The second thing, Barack Obama was not the worst president. You'll hear that too. Barack Obama wasn't the worst president. No, he was a very loquacious. He could read a teleprompter. He can motivate people. But when it came to foreign policy, he was absolutely abysmal. He got into a horrible climate change agreement where China could raise its resources, India could change its resources, Russia didn't have to change at all, but America had to cut their power consumption, which is just a ludicrous type of deal to ever make. But so I don't know why he did that. So when it comes to that stuff like that, and of course Syria and Libya, that stuff happened. He allowed that to happen with the CIA, and that has caused a lot of unrest in those areas. Now we have slavery back in Libya, like human slavery in Libya, because Gaddafi, as despicable as he was, kept that in check. You know, before him, Bush was Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein wasn't a great guy. He wasn't a great guy. He kept some kind of modicum of unrest at bay over there, and it's really up to the people of those areas to rise up and overthrow. America's living proof. Sorry, England. Sorry, my English subs. But anyways, so 16 minutes in, haven't even gotten to it. Okay, our biggest issue is debt to GDP ratio. I agree with that. That is very much agreeable. This comes from entitlement programs, social, federal government being involved in a lot of social issues. It should not be. Another one, crime rate. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that we're high in crime rate. I would say tax burden. Public health, not really. As much as you hear on the news that we're in this horrible health crisis, it's really not the case. And our health crisis more has to do from lawyers. Lawyers really screw up in America more than anything. We really have this plutocracy. I think it's plutocracy. Maybe it's not plutocracy, but it's one of those things where it's ruled by horrible laws. We just love making laws here because all of our politicians are failed attorneys. They're the bad attorneys. The good attorneys are the ones that make $1 million and don't run for office, but the bad ones run for office. Corruption rate, Russia. Yeah, Russia's right down there. State of the infrastructure. Yeah, France, Germany have an issue right now with population growth. I don't know. Germany has low population growth of its citizens, but a big influx of refugees that they have to pay for. One mayor in Germany said that her city in one generation will not even be mostly German. You can't have that, especially from groups that do not homogenize into the culture they're going into. America is good for that. Germans, Irish, Italians, black Americans, you could make a case for that. Coming out of slavery, coming out of the South, doing this mass expansion into the 30s up into the North. They've homogenized and created more culture in America. So black Americans are very American. So that's happened with us all the time. But just with the people in Germany and France, they are not homogenizing. They're keeping their old ways and demanding these countries accept, ignore, and even forcing some of these things. So, I don't know. Anyways, let's go on to the United States. Congratulations, I have won the election. Okay, so we got goals. All right, effect points. Oh, we got 20 effect points. This is horrible. This is horrible. So essentially, what I'm going to be doing here, less than that, 70%. So we got to be less than 60. Crime rate less than 800. Holy crap! Guess what I got to do? Guess what I got to spend all my points on? Unemployment rate 4.5. Vital amount of destruction less than 15%. I can get behind this. Public health at 80. See, now here's where people are saying it's very socialist when it comes to America. Public health is not a federal mandate. I know there's some people in America that say it's a human right. It's not a human right to get health care. It's a human right to take care of yourself. And I know people in England, some of my English subs will they say, hey, that's not right. Well, here's the thing. Maybe you'll agree with me a little bit more here. England's a very small country. The NHS that you guys have over there, one, it does ration healthcare. If anybody has known some old people, you're rationed, right? So I want to put this scenario ahead of you. One, healthcare in America, it should be a state right. And that would put us on league with England, right? You can't do it overall in America because we are so diverse. We have different cultures. We have different ideologies in most states that we have. You know, there's a good divide here. But every state should have its own healthcare policy, right? It shouldn't be mandated by the federal government because who's better to see overall and control the healthcare than the states? Second of all is, here's the scenario. What if you take care of yourself? Like you eat basically fowl and fish, right? So hardly any red meat, hardly any dairy. You eat mostly vegetables, so you're mostly vegetarian, but you eat a little bit of meat. Eggs is a good thing. Say you do that, 65 or 70, you get cancer. Now all of a sudden you're getting healthcare rationed. Why? Because you have 5,000 people at the age of 30 that have type 2 diabetes and obesity and all these, what do they call them, pre-existing healthcare, sometimes they call that, when you actually don't take care of yourself, you don't exercise at all. You have high cholesterol, you have plaque on your arteries. How is that fair in any regard? It's not fair. You're basically saying to that 70-year-old person, great for you that you took care of yourself. I guess you had a better quality of life than these 30-year-olds, but still, you're at an age where you're no longer useful. So we have to ration your health care for these 30-year-olds that sit there and eat freaking 5 Big Macs. I'm off on that one. Government spending. Now, defense here, military infrastructure. War and preventing help in case of events such as natural disasters. Now, this isn't our defense budget, America. This is our military budget. And our military budget has a lot to do with the military-industrial complex. And what that is something Dwight Eisenhower warned us about with the CIA and the Department of Defense. It's a shadow group. It is what you hear in the news, deep state. We have about 350 military bases all around the world. That falls into this budget right here. That falls into this budget. So we're going to lower this budget. Also, our wars in Syria and Afghanistan. Wait a minute, do we have anything here? Yeah, we have military conflicts. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do right now, we are withdrawing from Afghanistan. Oh, wow. Wow. I can't withdraw. Oh, I can't withdraw because I did the defense. Undo changes there. This is what we're going to do. We're going to withdraw from Afghanistan. That's all we can do. So we're going to go to next quarter. Bye-bye Afghanistan. That's the one thing that both of these presidents should have done. The last 3 presidents should have done. Alright, police. Horrible. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, so we do that. Now we got to get out of Syria. We can't get out of Syria. Oh boy. Social Security is our biggest thing. We'll go over Social Security next episode. Right now we're going to get rid of the defense best we can. Okay, we'll do 6. Okay. And then security, we got this. Well, actually, no. Try to make this about 10. No, more than needed. Alright, let's just undo the change. Undo that change. Holy crap, I put it all the way to the top. Alright, we're going to do 12 there. No. Alright, we'll go 12 there. But then, for the police... Wow. Again, this is not part of the federal budget. Just to let you know. There. This is not part of the federal budget. Police and security, prisons. This is, again, it's a state issue. But unfortunately, during this, okay, we re-elect the government 4141. Oh boy. Crime rate out of control. Yes. Okay, so we got press here. Burglary on the rise. We're going to give interviews and... No, keep public talks. No, we're going to perform a media stunt. Maybe that'll work. Laws we're not even going to deal with right now, nor taxes. Because what we have to do is keep lowering this and keep raising this. If, in effect, it forces us to do that. So we become basically a police state, which is kind of ridiculous. But hey, this is what, this is the stuff that they said with the game. One, it's very linear. You have to do the same thing. Now, if I play through this game again and I try to do some other tactics, it would probably fail and I wouldn't get reelected. Because you only have about 12 quarters, right? And why the unemployment rate is getting better when I'm funding prisons and getting rid of the defense. Again, that doesn't make any economic sense whatsoever. The only thing that really gets out of... Now, can I get rid of this? Offer peace treaty? Alright, we'll do that. Past conflict. Without border changes. I still can't withdraw. No, can't do any of this stuff. Airstrikes, I don't want airstrikes, I don't want anything like that. Offer peace treaty. We're just gonna have to do that. We gotta get out of that. And again, we're gonna put it all here. Put the rest in police. And go to the next quarter. So we're going to get out of that. We're going to have no military conflicts. And we're going to get all of our... I'm not trustworthy. Oh, the opposition. I don't know what that's supposed to get. Environmental destruction getting better. I haven't really done anything there. Press, public relations. Let's keep public talks. Alright, biggest problem is the state of the infrastructure. Okay. Again, we'll deal with Social Security and everything on that end, that spectrum. Later. Alright, and we're just gonna go, and this is what we're gonna do. So we got this big police state going on. Alright. Now, let's see. Less than 60%, 70%, not good. Not good. That's getting better, unemployment rate. This is going to get better. Why that's going down? Who knows? I really don't know. We got no more military conflicts. Satellite states, we got none. Taxes. Sales tax. Now, sales tax, again, sales tax federal? No. This is usually a county and a state issue. I don't think the county should be any part of it. The county was there for back in the day when transportation wasn't so easy. Okay? So we're going to change that to 10%. Okay? And then, of course, the inheritance tax. Now, I don't agree with this, and the current president is getting a lot of slack for lowering this because they go, oh, the millionaires tax. Millionaires are the people that have a small business and maybe they have 2 or 3 stores. That's a small business. I know a guy who owns a tow trucking company. He works his ass off. He has worked very hard and with health problems in his older age, getting that business on the ground so he could pass it on to one of his children, one of his sons. That guy's a millionaire. And you're lumping him in with like Warren Buffett when you bash these kind of these taxes. The government didn't, the government didn't do anything. The government doesn't create income, doesn't create wealth. People like this create wealth. Why shouldn't they be able to pass it on to their children? That's what America's all about. That's why we have immigrants, legal and illegal, coming here in order to gain this type of prosperity. Income tax. Income tax is theft. Simple as that. I am all for, look at this, excise tax. I'm all for excise taxes. I really am. Like, I'm going to do this. Fuel. Wow. Just raising that up. 2%. Holy crap. Property taxes. Again, property taxes 1% national average. Yeah, okay. No. A lot of cities, especially in my state, are raising these at like 19%. It's ridiculous. I have to fight all the time to get this going. Let me see. So corporate tax. Corporate tax again. You know, the corporate tax. People shy the corporate tax. Oh, people are getting away with murder and all that kind of stuff. So 30% here. Corporate tax. We're going to pick 33%. Let's see what happens in the next quarter. Just deal with taxes in this little frame. Okay, no. Tax burden. Economic growth. Now see, look at this. This is why this thing gets slammed to where it says, oh, we try to be partial. No, you're not trying to be partial. If I lower taxes, income tax, but corporate taxes especially, if I lower that by 1%, oh my God, you would see economic growth go through the roof. That's just how it is. That's economics. When you free the reins of these people. Yeah, we're not going to deal with laws right now. But the one person, I want to say the one person who played this put total gun control in, put total abortion in, and I'll talk about those later, and gave like higher maternity and all this, did all those social programs, and for some reason he became a juggernaut, and then he just became a dictator. Why? Because they didn't have any guns to fight back. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious that happened. Okay, so I think we're good on taxes. Sales tax 10%. Inheritance, we'll deal with that later. Income tax 30%. This I'm going to make sure. See, ooh, yeah, we're gonna get rid of it. Income tax. This is a libertarian ideology. No income tax. Sales tax. If you keep your income and you squirrel it away and you want to save it, that's your right. That is your right. It is not government's right to take that just off of your hard-earned labor, no matter what you do. This is gonna backfire on me horribly. Now, if I put this to 30%, no, we're gonna keep that at 25%. We're not gonna do that. Property taxes. Property taxes, eminent domain. Government can take what they want and all that kind of stuff, and then they're gonna do something for property taxes. Now, the property tax rate. I'm going to raise that up to... Oh, wow. I can't. That is a big jump right there. First of all, this property tax percentage is horrible. Second of all, property taxes... Now, property taxes take care of... Again, from a local standpoint, property taxes take care of the police and the firefighters and everything. You don't need to own property to live in a place. Right? So, therefore, when people say, oh, socialism doesn't work, oh, what about the fire and the police and the roads? Well, that's in the Constitution for the common good. That's in the Constitution. So it's not socialist. It's part of our republic. Alcohol tax. I don't like alcohol. I don't like tobacco. But, again, these are things where, now fuel tax... You know, I hedge on this one. I'm not exactly libertarian in this. I am not exactly libertarian in this. But this is also my environmentalism clashing with my libertarianism, where you just give a little bit of leeway in order to go into renewable energy. So you're taking money here, and then you could kind of, if you give tax breaks, then you can get rid of everything, right? And then whatever works. So in order to kind of make change effective here, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to adhere to the rules of the game. But I would, if I really was in charge, I wouldn't have any taxes on this stuff. Right. So, but you can't really just go in there and wipe everything out. Like I just wiped out income tax. That's going to be horrendous. That is going to be horrendous. Let's go to the next quarter. Watch this. Holy crap. They're going to say growth is horrible. But what happens is if I lower that... There we go. That actually works. That actually worked on that one. Tax burden. Okay. Getting worse. Okay. Okay. And then income. Negative 37%. Tax burden. Approval rating. Yeah, look at that. At least I got the approval rating. At least that worked. And then it adds to the debt. I get where it adds to the debt. I get it. Defense. Navy, Army. Good. Okay. Alright. And then go back to police. Just enough. Let's see how that works. And we're heading up on almost an hour. The work of government. Oh my god, at least it got that one right. At least it got that one right. Yes, 85%. I got rid of income tax. At least people love me for that. And then the shadow economy approved. Because people have more disposable income. I can't protect you from crime anymore. I really don't know what's going on. I got 17 points now. We have no military conflicts. I'm going to go public relations. I'm going to give interviews or perform a media stunt. when it comes to, we're still not going to do laws. Punishment, medium, pollution. Well, no. I think if you pollute, there should be laws in place. See, I don't believe in heavy tax burdens in order to make that change. But if you do pollute, you should be. Allowed. Always allowed. Under controlled circumstances. I don't know what those controlled circumstances are. So we're going to undo that. Punishment policy. General laws are applied and how harsh punishments are. See, now that's very ambiguous right there. And ubiquitous. It covers everything. So if you're caught with marijuana, first of all, I don't believe in legalizing marijuana for this fact, because you got to look at all the aspects. I do believe in just fining people for marijuana, because it is a drug, it's a controlled substance, and I believe it should be the same as somebody abusing prescription drugs, right? And there should be help available to them by non-profit organizations, which again, they don't pay any taxes, so they should be able to prosper and pay people, especially with zero income tax, appropriately, right, in order for people to get help that they need. Because I think non-for-profit agencies, the people who work there, really believe in that goal. Okay? Some of them are lobbyist groups, which is despicable, but that's why, you know, because we have such a heavy tax burden in America. So people try to find ways out of that tax burden. Now, the reason I don't believe marijuana being legal is you have to look at some of the factors. We have a heroin problem now in America. The reason we have a heroin problem is that Mexican farmers were growing marijuana to sell illegally over here. Now, when that dried up and we legalized it, now you can grow it here in America if you have a license and you know the right politicians. What they said is, well, how am I going to feed my family? How we're going to help our community? Well, they began growing opiate. And now heroin's tracking over it. See how that doesn't work? So now we have a heroin problem, which is bigger, much bigger than marijuana. Again, I believe we should have kept a fine in place for marijuana, right? So even stupid people, you get fined, all right? You have to do community service. Just hide your weed, right? Don't have it open in the open when you get stopped by a cop, that type of thing. It's a no-brainer. It's a slap on the wrist, you know, that kind of thing. Driving with while you're high on marijuana should be just like alcohol, although that is abused as well, because if you can't afford a lawyer, everything in America, if you can't afford a good lawyer, you're screwed. If you get a public defender, you're screwed. So that's why I think fines are the best thing. If you get caught with marijuana, blah, blah, blah. Now, we also have this thing where in America they're like, oh, we have a large amount of the black population that are in jail for nonviolent crimes. That's not exactly correct. What happens is they get first-time offense, armed robbery, okay? They have marijuana on them. They plea bargain that deal down simply because of our identity politics in here in America. They plea bargain that down to possession or distribution of marijuana. So those statistics don't really work out in the end. So see how that works? So no, we don't have a lot of non-violent criminals in America in our prison system. Okay, so here we go. Gun control. Now here's the one thing. Yeah, okay. We're not going to go on laws. I could go on forever about that. Tax. Sales tax, I'm going to keep that at 10%. Real estate transfer tax, I'm going to put that up to 4%. Insurance tax. Insurance, reinsurance, transactions. Insurance agents. Okay. That goes down to 1. Parents tax. Can I put that down to 10? Gonna put it down to 0. Yeah, we're gonna put it down to 0. Well, we can't put it down to 0. I'm sorry, we can't put it down to 0 because then people are gonna find a way. Because you do have an inheritance tax, you can't just save that and pass it off to your children. There has to be some kind of burden where you pass it off and it's a transaction. So keep that at 10%. But it could be made. This could be made to make 0%, right? Because again, This is theft. Actually, you know what? That's theft. We're going to do next quarter. Inheritance tax is 0. The hell with it. The hell with it. We got to go the full libertarian type of style here. I've already bucked it by giving the fuel tax. And our life expectancy is going up. So really. Approval rating. I'm 98% approval. Go figure. Okay. So 78. We're not good there. Crime rate less than 800. We're getting down there. I don't know why these are taking effect so long, but what are you going to do? Okay. So April 2020. And we're not even dealing with public health right now, are we? But that's the problem. That's the problem. We got to deal with that. Now, here's another thing. Science. I do agree that we should be doing a lot of science. Federal government should be kind of involved in science where it's funding it, especially NASA. I do believe in that. Simply because we can coordinate as a nation in order to traverse the stars. I do believe that that's part of the common good, right? Waste of supply, again, this is local level care. This is local level. I wish this had mental health facilities, because you would see mass shootings in America go down greatly, because almost all the mass shooters in America that we've had have been abusers of or past users of these psychoid drugs. Something that you won't hear about in the news. You'll just hear about the color of their skin or their religion, which is, I mean, but really. Okay, so energy, petro, electricity, good. Long distance heating. Adequate. We'll transfer things here. So we're really not doing much here. So that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to handle our energy cost here. And we got to call this a day. And 98% would elect it. Libertarianism for the win so far. Education not approving at all. Again, education should be at the local level because it's more accountable. You should be able to get rid of teachers that do poorly or that sit there and try to use propaganda or force the ideology on students. Those should be gone. I don't care if it's a Christian right-wing person or a far-left Antifa apologizing wingnut. You should be non-partial and teach lessons and facts. That's what you should be doing. All right, so yeah, we got quarter 3. Actually, we'll do the fourth quarter. Security, police are adequate, prisons completely insufficient. Do adequate there. This is good. And then that's what we'll do for the next quarter. We'll try to get that crime rate down. Reach the goal. All right. Look at that. We're getting rid of the black market. See? So you don't have to use the FBI and other measures to get rid of a shadow government. You just have to give people money in their pocket. That's simple as that. Yeah, just stop doing loot crates and microtransactions on the American people, government. Get out of their way. Okay. So that's it. So we got the approval rating there. I really don't have to do anything when it comes to notating anything. So our debt here, less than 60%. We're 83% in debt. We're rising high. And that means we have to get rid. And this is where we're going to run into a conundrum. Right? Our government spending. Look at all the spending. I'm spending so much for security and all that kind of stuff. Our defense. Sufficient, adequate, good, adequate. We'll deal with that there. 9%. Okay. Transport. What do we got? Streets, adequate. Airports, good. Railways, just enough. Good. Completely insufficient for bikeways. Whatever. Social Security, that's the biggest, that's what we have to tackle now. And then, of course, they want a hospital. But that, I don't think that's hospital. And here in our education system, we just throw money at the problem, but we don't fix the problem. We just do stuff like Common Core and all that type of stuff. And federal government shouldn't be there. Board of elections should be repealed. The EPA should be repealed. They should be gone with. And why should they be gone with? You go, oh, you're going to ruin the environment. No, because the states have a energy. The states have their own EPA, and the states can, one, they'll coordinate with other states, neighboring states, and they have a better handle on the environmental issues of their own locale than the federal government would. You can't give an overreaching broad guideline and rules and regulations in the EPA. And they're totally insufficient. They're backwatered and red taped, and we've had pollutants. The EPA dumped a bunch of pollutants into a Native American water source, for crying out loud, over in Colorado. Don't trust them in anything. Colorado's like Department of Energy Conservation. They should be handling that. Again, states rights, and local government, finance, banking, blah, blah, blah. I guess we're going to have to get rid of Mint's a big part of the central bank. Taxes. Okay. Just enough. No, actually, we won't do anything here. Yeah, let's get out of here. So that'll do it now, because we're heading on 1 hour. So sorry for this, but I go off on a tangent when I talk about politics. Hopefully you stuck around for all of it, and we'll see how many subscribers I have after this video. Anyways, this should be hitting about Christmas time, so Merry Christmas to all. Christmas, the most capitalist holiday on the planet. Thank you very much. Get off my government red tape lawn.